Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Waldron, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at this absolute beauty here. It is by Airfix, it's 1/72 scale, and it is the McDonnell Douglas Phantom FG.1. It's retailing around about the £25 mark. It is a brand new tool, only been out maybe a month or two. Really am excited for this one. Lovely box art here, just on the front as well. And then it's got some sort of markings selections on the side, looking rather good. So let's just open this up. I haven't got this out fully yet and have a really good look, so we'll have a good look through this together. First off, we have a nice couple of sprues here. First couple we have is of our weapons. We've got some nice weapons here with all sorts of rocket launchers. We've got all sorts of detail here with the landing gear, which, looking at it, I mean, for 1/72 scale, we've got a little bit of detail in there, but it's looking, quite crisp. There is like a bit of a seam line, a nice join line going around the edges, a little bit of like sort of scraping that off just to get that all good, but it's not like massive amounts of flash. We do also have a nice bit of detail here for like the nose cone section. We can see all sorts of raised little bolts and everything. Just at the back on at the wing the tail section, we've got recess panel lines just here. A bit typical of Airfix, where the recess panel lines, they're good, they're crisp, but maybe a bit of out of scale. They are quite sort of big. You can get away with it. It's not a massive big deal, but some people might not like that. And that's all looking good there. We've got another sprue here full of also with weapons, which we've got all sorts of air-to-air missiles, more air-to-air missiles, some free fall bombs, absolutely loads going on there. The detail on them is, I mean, there isn't really, so we say, detail on there in the sense of loads of rivets and all this kind of stuff. You've got a nice good shape there though, but it is 1/72 scale. Remember, we've got some pylons, right? We've got a whole bunch of fuel tanks. I do like fuel tanks. It really makes these Phantoms look really nice and beefy. Next bit of a sprue here, we've got some cockpit detail, right? We've got a nice bit of detail here, some sort of harnesses and stuff. We have our actual ejector seats also here, which has got all sorts of harnesses on there. A fair bit of detail going on with that. We've got our instrument display panel. It looks like we might be looking at like decals as all our instrument displays. Moving along, we've got some of our wheels here. Right, we've got some air intakes. They're looking, nicely detailed there. We've got our British version of our engine exhaust just here. This is where you can sort of really tell the difference between the US Phantoms and the British Phantom, is the exhausts just here, which are rather nicely detailed inside there. We've got some wheel well doors, some of the recess panel lines going on there. Turn it over. Yes, we do have some ejector pin marks just on here, but they should be quite easy to get rid of because there is no sort of detail in there to sort of ruin. It's just nice and simply fill sand and you're away. More landing gear detail just here, again looking good. I mean, for 1/72 scale, it is looking really good. The shape's looking good. We've got more detail just on here, which is part of the wing section, which I'm seeing recess panel lines, and I'm seeing like raised rivets where they're due. They're looking good. On the opposite side, we've got recessed rivets just in there. Does look really well detailed for the surface of this. And then we've got all sorts of maybe flaps and sort of slats and stuff. But then we've got the main underside of our aircraft just here, which has got bags of detail. Again, that typical Airfix recess panel lines, as well as we do have rivets on here, because I know Airfix, they don't tend to put that many recessed rivets, but it does look like they're starting to put them in, and especially on this 1/72 scale. So that's looking good. On the opposite side, we don't have to worry about any of those ejector pin marks. Moving along, we've got another couple more sprues just here. We've got all sorts of like tails and wing sections and stuff on here, which, as you can see, absolutely gorgeous detail on there for 1/72 scale. I am liking it. On here we've got some very sort of tiny I think they're antennas or something along those lines. Very, very flimsy, very, very probably easy to break. Actually, you're gonna want to be careful with them. We've got our air intakes just here, which are nice and smooth actually on the inside, and we have our ejector pin marks on the side we're not going to see. We do get it with a lot of kits where they put the ejector pin marks on the side that we're going to see and not on the side that we're not going to see, but they've got that one nice and right just there. More sort of intake where our intakes are going to be. Again, looking nicely detailed there with all sorts of recessed panel lines, recessed rivets. Again, more detail along here. Surface detail is looking really good. Then we have our main sort of fuselage section, which hopefully, as you can see on here, we've got all that same level of surface detail that we've seen throughout the kit. Right, it's going to take a wash really, really well, and it does look like it's going to be good. We've got a nice sort of engine area down here where it's all sort of natural metal finish here, loads of detail there to bring that out. Looking absolutely stunning, and it does look like we're going to have the option to have our wingtips in the open or close position as well. Very, very cool indeed. Then we'll have a look at, let's get my blade out, gonna have a look at our actual canopies and stuff here, all our clear parts. So starting off, looking at our first part of our canopy section, this is obviously going to be if you want your canopies open. They are looking rather good, really, really crisp. Also on this one, which this one is if you want it all closed, I am noticing a bit of a scuff mark just across here, which is probably down to some packaging, and it does look like we do have a bit of a cobweb effect going on also, and the same with the front part of our canopy just there. I don't know if you can see it is really hard to pick these things up on camera. You have to sort of take my word for it, but we do have a bit of cobweb effect on here and on here. Again, this is down to the core of the clear plastic, so no matter amount of polishing or sanding you're going to do, you're not going to be able to get rid of it until you've actually sanded it away. So that is a little bit of a shame, but we are sort of, you can get away with it. It is 1/72 scale. It should be okay, but it's not brilliant, shall we say. It depends what kind of a modeler you are, if that's really going to tick you off or you're going to be able to live with it. I'd be able to live with it, to be honest. And then what else have we got in here? That is all of that. So then we come to let's have a look at our instructions and our decals, which are decals. Here they are, absolutely stunning set of decals just here. So let's have a closer look. Yes, we do have the whole decal instrument display panels going on there, which is looking very sort of nicely detailed, very sort of crisp. And then you will notice there is an absolute ton of stencil markings going on with this kit. it's going to be quite a big decaling stage. It may be something where you might want to sort of leave out a few of these, because you can really spend a very long time putting all these stencils on. But I will say, with these Phantoms, when you get all these millions of stencils down, it does look pretty sweet after you've done all that work. Again, the colours, they're looking really good. Everything looks in registry. The writing, I mean, if you get a magnifying glass, I mean, you could sort of make out the writing a bit. Then we have some markings here for the different markings we can have, looking really, really good. And I do believe these are made by Cartograph as well, which always work good with micro solid sets, and shouldn't really have any problems putting them down. The instructions now, well, starting off, it does start off with different flight modes, shall we say. You've got in flight, you can have ready for catapult launch, which sounds quite cool. And then we've got this sort of, you know, everything's open and all sort of stowed on or below deck. So first off, we have cockpit section. Looks pretty standard as far as cockpits goes. We're putting seats together and stuff. What else we got here? If you want to have the nose open, you've got to actually physically cut this nose section off. Air intakes on the inside of the fuselage, again sort of standard. We've got cockpit going in as well, engines going in, a lot of stuff going in before we sort of start bringing it together. Hopefully it's not too complex that it's hard to put together, which typically Airfix, if they've got a complex build, they can have an odd fit issue here and there, and this does look a bit complex, so we're probably going to see one or two fit issues, but they're normally quite good in the end. And then you've got to watch out for loads of different options of putting fuel tanks and that down, where you need to drill holes and everything. Got a nice options here. We can have like our flaps and ailerons in different positions by the looks of it, landing gear up and down, air brakes up or down as well. Even the slats, by the look of it, you can have them in different positions. So it's going to be really cool to have it in different poses, different ways you want it, not just kind of uniform and straight. As you see, the wingtips, you can have them up and down, which is a nice touch for the old aircraft carrier kind of thing going on there. Moving along, yes, you need to, I do believe there's different landing gears for like being in the catapult position, which is rather cool. Could make quite a nice diorama with that. And then we've got all these weapon options of all sorts of air-to-wear, free-fall bombs, you know, the whole hog. You can really sort of beef this out with a lot of firepower, and it's good that they've shown that on there and it all going together. Canopies, open and close. The register hook can be up or down. The fuel probe, that can be open or closed. Loads and loads of options. And then, you know, to finish it off, we've got this lovely nose cone section, which can be open and show off all sorts of detail, which then brings us to what looks like to be our markings, which if we just open this out, we've got one set of markings just here, the HMS Arkerall. That one is a really nice one to potentially do. Underside white, we've got like a sort of like a, what is it, a extra dark sea grey on top. And as I say, bags and bags of stencils. Got another set of markings just here also, and then we have our third set of markings just here, again looking good. Then on the back of this one we have love it or hate it, nightmare or not, the mass amount of stencils that need to go on here. As you can see, it is massive. You want to sort of be a competent deckler to sort of put all these down, but it is cartograph decals, so although there's a lot, you shouldn't really have much problems with the decals. All in all, I think this is a fantastic kit. I mean, for £25 you've got a classic Phantom, bags and bags of detail in there, great surface detail. You've got all those options of flaps up, down, fuel probes in, out, in the stowed position, ready on the catapult, in-flight displays, excellent decals. You know, it has got it all. It is definitely a big thumbs up and a well recommended kit here at Genesis Models. So hopefully you have enjoyed this in-box review. So until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, and I hope you've enjoyed.